Good day, everyone. This is Teacher Jufrian, and welcome back to my class. How have you been? That's great. So for today, we will be having a new lesson. Are you excited? All right. But before that, let's do some recap. Who among you remembered what we had tackled yesterday? Yes? Yes, that's right. Very good. Thank you. I want you to settle down and please make yourself comfortable as we will now begin our lesson. Are you ready for today's lesson? All right, that's great. Before we proceed, I would like you to read a short script. Would you love that? All right, that's great. So this short script is entitled Penny. So let's all read aloud. You have to read it aloud. Read it to yourself aloud in 3, 2, 1, begin. Great reading, class. Have you ever wondered what that script is for? And guess. This has something to do with our lesson for today. Yes, a poem. A poem could be. Any other guess? Monologue? Monologue it is. Yes, it's monologue. Very good. Our lesson for today is about monologue and its types. We'll also discuss some guidelines in performing a monologue. So here are the objectives of our lesson for today. First is to define monologue. Second is to distinguish the types of monologue. Third, to apply guidelines in performing monologue. And lastly, perform a monologue. Can you recall the definition of dialogue? Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Now, if dialogue involves two or more persons talking to each other or having a conversation, how many persons do you think are involved in a monologue? Yes, very good. Only one. On your screen, I will be flashing slides as we go on to our discussion. Are you all ready? That's great. So first, let's have monologue. What is monologue? What do you think is monologue? Is it similar to dialogue? Is it different from dialogue? So monologue is a speech given by a single character in a story. In drama, it is the vocalization of characters' thoughts. And in literature, it is the verbalization. It is traditionally a device used in theater, a speech given in a stage. But nowadays, its use extends to film and television. It's not only limited to theater nowadays. We can watch it in our TV, or sometimes we can access movies or these films on our mobile phones, on our computers, or any gadgets, as long as we have internet connection, right? So that is monologue. Monologue is performed by only one person. Did you get it? That's great. Very good. So let's move on to the 3 types of monologue. There are 3 types of monologue. So have you ever wondered what are these 3? All right. So first, we have soliloquy. So soliloquy is a speech that a character gives to himself as if no one else is listening, which voices his inner thoughts aloud. So basically, a soliloquy captures a character talking to himself at a length out loud. So of course, the audience can hear the speech, but the person talking isn't aware of others listening to him. So next one is dramatic monologue. So dramatic monologue is a speech that is given directly to the audience or another character. It can be formal or informal, funny or serious, but it is almost always significant on length and on its purpose. Third is internal monologue, meaning within. Internal, meaning within. This is the expression of a character's thoughts so that the audience can witness what is going on in a character's mind. It's sometimes referred to as a stream of consciousness. Stream of consciousness. In a piece of writing, internal monologues can often be easily identified by italicized blocks of text that expresses a character's thought. Here are some examples of monologue scripts. Please read them out loud.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by asleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die. To sleep. To sleep. Perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause.
Whenever I do something wrong, even when it's a tiny, tiny line on my brother's paper, my mom makes me go to my room, sit on my bed, and wait for my dad. I wish he'd just go ahead and punch me and get over with it. That way, it'll be easier. That way, you don't have to sit all day in your room waiting for your dad. Dad never says anything to me right away. He waits till after dinner to yell and stuff. Why is he so angry after dinner? Now I know. He likes being meaner better on a full stomach. After dinner, he takes me to my room and closes the door so no one else can hear him being a creep. Then, he asks me a question a 2-year-old can answer. Why did you do this? Well, if I knew that I knew it was going to get me in trouble, I wouldn't have done it in the first place, would I? Anyway, he listens to me real polite, and then he scolds me and makes me feel awful. By punishing me, he makes me do chores around the house, like I'm doing now, washing the dishes. Or he'll do something a normal parent would never ever do to their child. He makes them go to bed early. Oh, I hate going to bed early. That way I can't watch TV. And it always seems like every time I have to go to bed early, the good stuff's on TV. I have to start remembering not to goof up on the days the good stuff's on TV. So then I could watch TV and not have stress or do chores around the house.
Now let's move on to the guidelines in performing a monologue. Here are some guidelines you can use, you can follow when you perform a monologue. So first, choose your monologue. So if you are given a chance to choose your piece, please do so. And of course, find something that you will be comfortable in performing. So in that way, it will be easier for you to execute, perform it in a natural way. But in some cases, you aren't allowed to choose your piece, your monologue. It could be picked by someone, most especially your teacher, right? But if you have the chance to choose your monologue, you can. You may choose something that you will find easy to execute. Of course, according to the theme, if there is any, the theme your instructor or your event is requiring you to perform. So the next one is preparation. When you prepare in performing a monologue, you have first to read the full script. First, read the full script. In order to portray the character in the monologue, you will need to read the entire script. You will find valuable hints in some parts or in the parts of the monologue. You'll also be able to understand the context of the monologue in much more detail. For a nuanced and detailed performance, reading the full script is very essential. So the next one, in preparation, the next step in preparation is understand the context. You have to understand the context of your script. So ask yourself what the given circumstances of the monologue are. Where does it take place? What time is it? Who is there? What just happened? What is the character's emotional state? If your character is speaking to a scene partner or to someone, who are they and what is the nature of your relationship with them? So you have to understand the context. Alright? Get it? So the third step is your character's thought process. Your character's thought process. You have to know how your character is thinking. In order to perform a monologue well, you will need to understand the character's thoughts process. Decide whether each new idea come from. Is it a sudden memory? Or is it a thought based on the previous thought? So you need to study how your character is thinking. Fourth, learn your lines. You have to study your lines. So the best way to learn lines is actually very simple. To make sure your lines are deeply rooted in your mind, you have to repeat it over and over again. Repetition is the key. So, you will need to repeat the monologue over and over and over and over until it becomes natural and new. Here are some tips on monologue preparation exercises. So there are a few monologue preparation exercises that you can try in order to reveal the character's thought process and to keep the words organized and spontaneous. Change direction with each thought. Walk around the room speaking your lines of your monologue. With each change of thought, turn and walk a new direction. So second, synonyms and consonants. Speak only the consonants, then only the synonyms. Then combine both and speak the monologue normally. This exercise may reveal some words and phrases that you had overlooked before. So next, create memories for a character. If your character speaks about a memory in the monologue, imagine this memory in detail. Then practice delivering your speech out loud. While this may seem obvious, an obvious advice to a performer, most of monologue performers only practice their words, their script in their head. However, it is important to practice it out loud. Practicing it out loud will help you voice out You can hear it. You can actually see yourself, hear yourself saying and performing the monologue. Third major guideline is when you perform now the monologue. When the performance day finally arrives, you will feel ready to present your monologue. With the previous steps and with the previous preparations I have discussed earlier, you will feel ready. You are now ready to perform. So the day that you will be performing shouldn't involve any last minute line learning or character's decision. Instead, the immediate lead up should be about warming up, concentration, relaxing, so that you can give the best of your performance. Here are some tips that you can use in actual performance of your monologue. First, warm up before the performance. In the morning, before you perform, take time to do some physical exercises and vocal warm up. Second is humming. Next is deep breathing. Another one is stretching. The fourth guideline is getting into the character. So while some performers like to spend hours getting in a certain state of mind prior to the performance, others can easily find a character. They can easily find a character in seconds before they start the monologue, and that's really a talent. So the fifth guideline is to avoid delivering the monologue to anyone in the audience. When delivering the monologue, avoid making eye contact to anyone in the audience. Locking eyes to them with someone in the audience can make them feel uncomfortable. Instead, choose a spot on the wall behind the audience and do your best to imagine your monologue the way you practice it. So in that way, it will be easier for you, it will be convenient for you to perform. Please don't panic if you make a mistake. Mistakes happen. What matters is how you deal with them. If you messed up a line or forgot some lines, deal with it in a calmer manner. Now that you have learned the monologue, its definition, examples, its types, and the guidelines in performing it, I will be giving you a monologue script entitled Please Hear What I'm Not Saying by Charles Finn. In 15 minutes, I want you to read and understand the text thoroughly. Understood? Okay. Any other question? Are you done, class? All right. How did you find it? Did you enjoy it? That's awesome. Class, what do you think is the importance of monologue? Yes. That's right. That's correct. Any other? Anyone? Good job. Class, monologue is important as it gives audience and other characters access to what a character is thinking, either through a speech or the vocalization of their thoughts. It aids the audience in developing an idea about what the character is really thinking, which in turn helps or can later help explain the previous or future actions and behavior. Based from the monologue script entitled Please Hear What I'm Not Saying by Charles Finn, I want you to perform a monologue. You may take a video recording of yourself, of your performance, and kindly send it to my email account. This is my email account. For your assignment, make your own tips or guidelines in performing a monologue that you think are helpful for anyone who will perform a monologue. You have to write maximum of 10 and minimum of 7 tips or guidelines. Am I clear? Okay. How did you find our lesson for today? Did you enjoy it? Well, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that you enjoyed it. So that's all for today, and I will be seeing you on our next meeting, on our next video. And see you guys. Thank you.